What is up, everybody? It is BooyahMan85. So, I love optimizing video games. So, once again, we're doing this. We're in Bomber Crew. I have completed the game finally. And we're just going to run through everything that I know and everything that I have built as I optimize the crap out of this team. A lot of people on YouTube and on Reddit, they don't have a perfect recipe for what a finished product would look like. Well, I'm here to encourage the internet, challenge thee. I am the best, challenge accepted. You guys don't want to just flat out tell people how to run their ship, their aircraft, how to load out their crew? Fine, I'll do it. And if people are better than me at the game, prove it. Make a YouTube video. Because otherwise, mine's the best. Okay. Yeah. So, right off the bat, crew equipment. Long story short, the higher you can fly, the earlier you can fly, the less damage you're going to receive in the long run, or the less likely you are to get shot out of the sky all the time. Because you're going to take less damage. You're above most of the fighters, you're above all the flak, and you're above all the AA turrets. The only thing that can fly up to your altitude at all is the, is it the Betty? It's the German equivalent to the Betty, the twin-engine, high-altitude interceptor that the Germans have. I forgot the name of it. It's blanking on me. But anyway, so like the ME-262s, is it the Jute? I don't know. It's the twin engine high altitude. So the more you can spend in the higher altitudes, the better off. There's only a few missions where you need to be at low or medium altitude, and you can go down if you need to. So flying at high altitude is very cold. There's no oxygen. There's less fighters. There's less flak. Now here's the next problem. There's no navigation. So you need to specialize your style of play to fly only basically nighttime missions, or for the equivalent of, because you can chart through the stars. You can level up your navigator to do chart with the stars, and she can chart forever until the sun comes up, which makes it harder. So there's a system where you take off from the base, and what I do, since you have an hour's worth of fuel, you lean the fuel with the engineer. I'll show you that later. You'll lean the fuel with the engineer, and then just circle Great Britain until nighttime. Then when nighttime happens, then fly over the channel, fly into your target, bomb it, fly out. And hopefully you'll bomb the target and you'll set a waypoint home before the sun comes up. Because then you circle until nighttime, then you'll fly over the continent, bomb the target, set a waypoint home, go back up to high altitude and fly home. So even if the sun wakes up, it doesn't matter, because you'll know on the map how far you are from the British island, from Great Britain. You'll know how far away you are based on where you are on the map. Because if you memorize the map, you kind of know, all right, England's on the left-hand side, upper left-hand corner, and everything else is occupied territory. So if you can get out of German airspace and over the water, over the islands, when the sun comes up, then once you're over the water, then you can come back down to medium altitude and then continue flying into the airport. So there's ways to trick the game into allowing you to be stealth bomber technology. So I said all that to say this. So the crew that we have right here is equipped for high altitude. Period. Flat. Okay, so for those of you who know how to play this game, I'm not going to brainstorm you, so we're just going to go right into it. So the captain, pilot. He is never going to leave his chair, per se. If he does, his second skill needs to be navigator. And I'll tell you why. Every single person on this crew needs to be able to do 2 jobs. Period. Flat out. I've got my pilot as a secondary navigator, because if my navigator gets shot and needs to be hospitalized, I need him to leave the pilot seat for just a minute, go down to the map room, chart a custom waypoint home, and then go back up to the cockpit. That's it. That's his only job. Fly the airplane and run downstairs, plot an emergency waypoint to get out of range of the shit. Out of the German hair. Get out of German hair. We can repair, regroup, refuel, redo all that nonsense. Not refuel, but recuperate. And get everything prepped so that we can either finish the mission or just go home. So, he's pilot, he's never leaving his chair, and he's subbing. His sub job is navigator for emergency plotting only. So he's not going to move. So we don't care about his speed. His speed's 47. So what do we have? I have the jumper just because it's festive. Basically anything that improves cold tolerance, it'll work. Basically you want to get your thermal protection all the way up, as high as you can get it. I forgot what the threshold is for high altitude bombing. I've got everybody maxed out on cold. You might be able to play with it around 30 degrees, give or take. Basically, if you can stay up at high altitude for the entire mission without worrying about frostbite or no oxygen, then you can tone back some of the thermal protection to boost your other stats. But right now, I've just got everybody flat, and I don't feel brave enough to tinker with this crew, because this is my completed crew. As you can see above, I have completed the campaign. So he's just got the jumper on. We have the flak helmet, Mark II, because we want all that protection. He's the pilot. If he goes down, no one's going to fly the plane. So he has to be in full protection mode, and we don't care about his speed, because the only place he's going is either to get a first aid kit, if that, or he's going to go down to the map room for a second and go back upstairs. So he doesn't need speed. He's got the toughened, he's got the armored large O2 bottle, because just in case he needs more oxygen. Basically, everybody's got a large O2 in case the oxygen goes out on the ship, on the aircraft, and we still are waiting for somebody to fix the oxygen supply. That's why everybody's got a large one. When they're in their seat, they don't need oxygen, and they don't need to worry about heat. Well, they do worry about heat. They don't need to worry about oxygen when they're in their chair. It's for when they're walking around or the oxygen's broken. Large, heavy flak vest, Mark III, because we're going to be taking a lot of damage, especially in the later tougher missions. Electric heating gloves, because why the heck not? Got to get that thermal up. Now, I have opted only for thermal boots, not heated boots. Now, maybe it's roleplay, maybe there's a reason for it, but my hands get colder faster than my feet do. If you can't use your controls with your hands, you can't operate the aircraft. Okay? Yes, your feet are useful, but they don't need the best protection. And basically, if I were to change it, it would lower their speed even more, and I don't need really to do that. So thermal's just fine, but heated gloves, definitely. And that's pretty much the same across the board. There are a couple exceptions. So that's a pilot. Let's do Louis. All right. So, real quick, Matthew Mundi. Maybe you know him, maybe you don't. He is the pilot for the Memphis Belle. Great movie. Y'all should watch it. So he's our pilot. He's amazing. Okay, we're gonna go to Louis. So this is one of my high school friends. This is Louis Lee. Um, he's also featured in the chocolate syrup video on my channel. Yeah, it's that guy. Um, so same thing here. Basically almost the same exact thing as the pilot. Max armor. We don't care about speed. And to be honest, we don't really care about their survival anyway. If you're building for survival, you're probably gonna get shot more. Because in order for you to survive more, you can't wear heavy armor. So you either go full survival, full speed, or full armor. To be honest, at the end of the game, your aircraft is good enough that even if it happens to blow up, there's ways to alleviate that pressure. But this crew's not built for survival. I mean, if we bail, we bail. If they die after bailing, I'm sorry. You can just get another crew member. But when the crap happens, and you have 15 different fighters shooting at you, plus enemy flak and AA turrets, you don't really care if your guys survive to be captured. I'd rather them die than get captured. So it won't matter. So we need the most protection we can to make the plane last as long as it can. I don't really care about survival. Okay. Jumper, flak Mark II, toughen O2, heavy flak Mark III, electric and thermal. Same thing as the pilot. So this is our tail gunner. All right. So he's a gunner, first off. He is emergency first aid. Now, I say that this guy's going to die. Your tail gunner is going to take the most damage out of everybody in your aircraft. Now, speaking of which, why does the captain have... why does the captain have 2 more toughness than Louis does? Mark 3, toughened, large O2. Mark 2 helmet. I guess it's because he's pilot. Whatever. I don't really care. I don't care. So, he has the same equipment as the pilot. They're not going to move that often. And because he's the tail gunner, the tail gun is always ammo fed. So he doesn't have to leave his turret. Because the walk from the tail gun to the ammo and back with 43% speed sucks. You do not want to be doing that. So the belly turret and the tail gun, I'll show you this later. The belly turret and the tail gun are ammo fed. So I don't have to worry about ammo. Don't really care. So he's not moving. He's got first aid just to help in emergencies, but chances are he's never leaving his cockpit. He's never leaving the gun. He's never leaving the gun. All right, RJ Barton, another guy from my high school days. Shout out to BSNF Railroad. Way to go, guys. He's a locomotive engineer for BSNF, which is kind of nice. He's our mid gunner. So he's the ventral and our top gunner. He's basically the ventral turret. So he's belly or top turret. Those are his 2 jobs, up turret and bottom turret. So he doesn't need to move that far either, and the ammo is closer to him than it is Louis. So he can go get his own ammo, and he's right next to it. So, I mean, it's not the end of the world. So the top turret needs to be reloaded. The bottom one doesn't. So at least one of his turrets, you don't have to worry about it. So he's in the belly turret, unless we're low enough where he needs to be in the upper. chances are he's going to be our belly turret. So again, max armor, same loadout as the pilot, same loadout as Louis, loadout as Louis in the tail gunner slot, same stuff. High thermal, high oxygen, low survival, low speed, high armor. And again, his specialty is gunner and his secondary is first aid. I have been told it helps keep them alive longer, but I don't know that for facts. So, because they're going to be in their guns the whole time, they really can't utilize a second ability anyways. So just give them first aid. Maybe they can heal somebody faster if they're not the ones currently under fire. Whatever. Okay. That brings us to Billy Zane, the actor. He's our bombardier. He is the bombardier for the Memphis Belle. So there you go. Little role play for us. Again, max armor, low speed, high thermal, high oxygen, low survival. Same equipment as both turrets and the pilot. He's going to move around a little bit because he can jump from the front gun. He's our front gunner and he's the bombardier, but he's only going to be going up and down for these guys. The front turret is not ammo fed, so he's going to have to go get his ammo. However, the front gunner doesn't really do that much work. I mean, yeah, maybe there's a couple of targets in the front, but most of the targets are going to be in the rear or below you, based on your altitude. So he's got to go get his own ammo, but he doesn't have to shoot that often. And when he does, he's already loaded, so whatever. Now, because he is the bombardier, he's got max bombardier and max gunner. So if he's not dropping a bomb or taking a photograph, he's shooting Germans. So he has both of those skill sets. Okay. Now we get into the more specialized loadout. So everybody up to that point, the pilot, the bombardier, and our two gunners, those are what we call full armor. Now we have a hybrid. All three of my next characters are hybrids. They're all wearing the same kit. They're all wearing the, obviously they're wearing the jumper. They've got the blue beret for speed. They have the advanced O2. I think they do. Okay. Yeah. They have the advanced O2 bottle, which gives them more oxygen, but it doesn't give them a lot of armor. Because I need them to be fast. And I'll tell you why in a minute. Then they have the flak vest, because they're going to get shot at a lot. The electric gloves and the thermal boots. So the only thing that's different is the O2 and the helmet. We're wearing a hat, and we're wearing a light O2 bottle so that they can move faster. Both of their speeds are at 91, and almost everybody's going to share these three stats right here. So, Warren Patterson. Patterson is the character you play in Medal of Honor Frontline. Patterson, get over here. We gotta take that beach, Patterson. Yeah. I just thought it was funny because he's the engineer. So, that's just a little role play for you. So, the engineer, the navigator, and the radio operator all have this loadout. Why? Okay. Patterson is obviously going to be our main repair dude, and he's going to be another gunner. So we have Louis in the tail, RJ in the ventral, Billy's in the front turret. Patterson is going to be the roof turret when we're at medium altitude. So you have all four guns at full power. Bottom gun and tail gun are ammo fed, and the front and the top are not. So he's going to have to get his own fuel, but he's super fast, so it doesn't matter. And if you have nothing for him to do, you can get ammo and give it to Billy. If you have nothing better to do, chances are we're going to be in a lot of hectic situations, and you don't need him to go run for ammo. So obviously he needs to be a gunner and he needs to be a mechanic. That makes sense. Nothing much to talk about. This is where things get interesting. The navigator is only useful to and from the target. Going to the target and going home. That's it. After that, she's useless. So she is actually our medic. This is Ashley Mann. She is one of the cheerleaders in my high school. She was in my class. She's wicked fast. Not as fast as Patterson, but that's because she's the navigator. She has the same equipment loadout as he does. So they have pretty good thermal. They have best speed we can get them with decent armor, 50% armor, give or take. And then she's well-rounded. So when things are happening and people are getting hurt, she's our first aid medic. If she doesn't need to chart a course, I'm going to grab a first aid kit, and go heal somebody. So the person who needs healing doesn't have to leave their workstation. Mostly it's going to be Louie in the tail gunner seat. So I'll grab a first aid kit, send her to Louie, heal him up, and then send her back to the freaking navigator seat. This is where things get interesting. Radio operator. She's also our second mechanic. So this is Jessica Cox. She was pretty much the only girlfriend I've ever had from Seminole, Oklahoma. She lives in Medill right now. Whatever. Shout out to Jessica. Again, same exact loadout as Patterson and Ashley. Decent armor, fast speed, good thermal, decent oxygen. Now, radar is a little more important than the navigator seat. So she's not going to move around too much, but for those one or two instances where you need two mechanics, she's got nothing better to do. So what we do is, if you copy my setup, if you need two mechanics, what you do is when Jessica's in her chair, fire off the recon, the auto tag, and call for Spitfires. Then she can leave her chair. All three of those abilities will still be on. They'll still be active. And then she can get up and go fix something, like the oxygen or the electronics or the hydraulic system, or maybe even an engine, for heaven's sakes. Since we can repair engines mid-flight, as long as you don't do a nosedive. So this is actually one of the controversial choices that I don't see many people talking about on the internet. Having your radio operator as your second mechanic. Fire off all of her radio abilities, and then get her to get up and go fix something. In theory, what you could do is make either your radio or your navigator into a secondary pilot, but I've never had a situation where I need two pilots. I have been in a situation where I need a medic and a second mechanic. So that's what decided my factors for this. So we kind of went over two birds with one stone. So that was the crew gear. I basically just talked about why these guys have the skills that they have. We can go through it again. So as a pilot, you have access to basically all of the major important things. Navigator, navigate the stars and custom heading, very important. And now I've already talked about why having the pilot be able to jump seats just for a minute and plot an emergency course is useful. Engineer, Lean, boost, lean plus, and boost plus, and then all the gunner skills. Very important. Ashley, custom heading, navigate the stars, emergency first aid, and heal minor injuries. So, I gotta remember what this does. Emergency first, advanced first aid. Quickly heal injuries on other conscious members of your crew. Okay. You can heal people faster. Slowly heal injuries on other conscious members of your crew. No first aid required. Oh, that's why. This is a passive heal. So this is an active, that's a passive. And that's why I've got 3 people with that skill. Okay. It's basically your regen. So we have 3 people accumulating a percentage of our healing rate, applying it to everybody on the aircraft. That's why. That's why we're running first aid. We've already went over this. She can do all the engineer stuff, and she's our main radio operator. And then that's why he's got first aid. That's why he's got first aid. And then Billy's got medium altitude photograph and gunner. Okay. So we've done what I would consider the more technical part of this. Now we're going to go into the meat and potatoes. We don't need to worry about the livery. Okay. According to sources that I have collected, the metagame is armor on your innards and lightweight on your outwards. So, this is engine 1, engine 2, engine 3, and engine 4. So 2 and 3 are closer to your ship. They're more important, they're more mission critical, they are armored. Lightweight on the edges, because the wings are weaker out there. Save some weight on the wings, some pressure on the wings. That's just for role play. But in structural, whatever. But it allows us to save weight so that we can have more important stuff on our aircraft. Yep. Guns. All of these are 50 cal quad barrels. The tail gun and the ventral turret are Mark III quad barreled 50s with the ammo feed. And then the upper turret and the front turret are 50 cal quad Mark IVs. So these are going to do more damage, but you have to manually get the ammo for them. And they have a larger belt size. So you need less frequent trips to the ammo. And when you fire off your special abilities like armored piercing and incendiary, you will instantly get infinite ammo for as long as that ability is active. So you can actually extend the length of your belts by firing off your special abilities when you're getting low on ammo. Okay, so our 2 most important turrets are ammo fed. The other 2 secondaries are manually loaded. Now, I have electrical system 5, because why the hell not? You could make a case of lowering from Mark 5 to Mark 4. Because this is 100%. That means the electrical system will never short out on its own, only by taking damage. 99% repair efficiency, you could make a case by saving 75 pounds of weight by dropping it to a Mark IV, but we have the extra weight, so we have the ability to use Mark V. Just use Mark V. But I could see the argument. Now, in order to save weight, with the hydraulics, you would have to drop to a Mark II, but you would only have one hydraulic power. So there's no benefit to dropping this any lower than 4. So you're going to want this up at full power. So you're going to want Mark IV hydraulics. You're going to want Mark VI radar. I've only got 3 fire extinguishers. Why, David? Well, you only have 4 engines. Chances are really good I'm always going to come back with 3 back to base. Okay? Because one's going to suffer so much damage that it'll fall off. You don't really need a fire extinguisher for an engine that doesn't exist anymore. 2, when you do the emergency dive, it'll put out any fires that are currently on the engines. So, by being able to do the dive and having 3 fire extinguishers, I basically have the ability to put out 4 fires, essentially. So you don't need the 4th fire extinguisher, and it'll save you 200 pounds of weight by just dropping it to 3, and when you run out of extinguishers, do nosedives. Or do nosedives to save your extinguishers for when you really need it. For the record, don't do an emergency dive at low altitude. If you're so low you can't do the emergency dive, that's when you fire the fire extinguishers. Most of the time I'm flying at high altitude anyway, so it doesn't matter. Okay, oxygen tank. There's no reason for this to be any lower than 3. At high altitude, you're going to want this at full power, and this thing will malfunction at 90% anyways. So I have to keep repairing. I have to repair this more than anything else on the ship. It's kind of stupid. Another reason why everybody's got super large oxygen tanks. It's because this thing keeps malfunctioning. I have the Mark III fuel tank. Why? Because I can't upgrade to the self-sealing fuel tank. That's why. I have been trying to save weight on other parts of the ship specifically to get the self-sealing fuel tank, and I can't manage to do it right. So, if you can find a way to keep the ship, or keep this aircraft, this plane, in as tip-top shape as I've got it, and be able to help the self-sealing fuel tank, good luck. For now, I can't manage it. I can't manage the weight properly on it, so we have Mark III. This is where things get important. What do I take with me on the plane, David? Okay. There are 7 people on the aircraft. Pilot, tail gunner, rear gunner, bombardier, engineer, radio operator, and navigator. There's 7 people. If you bail, like you're supposed to bail, if you bail over the water with your gear down, or you bail as you're coming in for landing, but you can't land because you only have 1 landing gear, if you bail, there's a really good chance your pilot's going to die because he's in the front of the plane. When the nose hits the ground, there's a good chance it'll blow up. It'll kill the pilot. You can't save him. But you can save 6 people. Out of 7, you can save 6. You'll have to retrain your pilot if he dies, if he doesn't survive the crash landing. But that means you have 6 other players on your ship that you can save. So you need 6 parachutes. If you order a bailout and you have 6 people with parachutes, everybody is going to bail except the pilot. Then the pilot can plot a course for a ditch attempt and then get back in the cockpit and then try to land it gently, right? Or he'll blow up, whatever. But then you've saved 6 of your guys. You only have to retrain your pilot. I think it's better to carry 6 parachutes instead of 7. Because the odds of your pilot having enough time to bail after everybody else has bailed, that's very rare. And the pilot's going to die on the crash anyway. Captain's got to go down with his ship. And all those little jokes. So, I say carry 6 parachutes. Prove me wrong, YouTube. So, the hatch for bailing out of the aircraft is at the middle top of right here. You can't see it, but it's between these 2 locations. Right about here on the airplane is the roof hatch where everybody bails out. Because everybody gets out of the aircraft, gets on the wing, and then jumps off the back. That's how they bail. So, by having all the parachutes up front, everybody meanders to the middle of the aircraft, grabs their parachute, and they're quickly out of the airplane and gone. It helps to evacuate the plane fast. Now, I have 1 fire extinguisher. Chances are really high that we're never going to need it, and if we do, you're only going to need 1 of them. So I only have 1 on board. It's in the third. It's in this slot on the bottom. I figured you might want to. It's better to have it and not need it than need it and not have it. That goes for anything in life. Have it, not need it, than need it and not have it. So we have 6 parachutes. We have 1 fire extinguisher. Then I have 5 first aid kits. Your guys are going to go down a lot. I use 3 first aid kits on every mission. And I have 2 for backup. So again, you have to balance this. You need a fire extinguisher, you need a couple of parachutes, you also need some first aid kits. That takes up all 12 slots, guys. That's 6, 5, and 1. That's all the slots. So I have 5 first aid kits, 1 fire extinguisher, and 6 parachutes. It makes sense. The first aid kits are in the back of the plane. Probably because Louis, which is the tail gunner seat, which is right there. Right there. Nope. There. That way. I keep pointing at the screen. It's that way. So just to the left of those first aid kits is the tail gunner. Louis is going to get hurt a lot. Those 3 first aid kits are literally for him. Believe it or not. You're killing me, Louis. So I've got them in the back of the plane because it's my tail gunner and my belly turret that are going to take the most damage. So that's why the first aid kits are more to the rear. And all my first aid doctors, basically my navigator, is fast enough to run back here quick enough to grab a first aid kit, give to Louis. Now the interesting part. Having enough armor to save the day and saving weight in the process. I have Mark 7 armor on everything except the nose. So we have tail, wings, main rear, mid, front, and nose. Lightweight Mark 5 in the front, because there's very little chances that we're going to lose the nose. And if we do, we can still fly the airplane. If the front isn't armored, your pilot, radio operator, and navigator are going to die. The mid is the only other place on the ship you don't need max protection. But it's also where your wings connect to your fuselage. So, yeah, about that. Take that as you will. Main rear, this is what's going to take the second most damage on the ship. Plane. I keep thinking Star Trek. I'm sorry. This is where both our turrets are. So our top and our belly. This is going to take a lot of damage. If this is not armored, this is one of those places where you can literally, with enough bullets, you can snip the airplane in half. This has to have armor. If you lose the tail, you can't land, and you're probably not going to fly for much longer. So both of these sections right here, main rear and tail, are probably the first things you're going to want to armor up. If they shoot the wings off, you're never coming home. So that's the next priority. So focus on fortifying the tail, main rear, and wings first. Then your front. Then mid. And then lightweight in the front. I'm still debating whether I want to put this as lightweight or not. It could save you some weight. Save you 2,700 freaking... Oh, no, save 500 weight. It'll save 500 weight. I don't know if that's good or not. You guys will have to help me determine if that's a wise decision or not. Now, one of the reasons why we've lowered the weight on some of the things on the ship, plane, is we do have some survival kit. I've got a level 1 dinghy. Level 2 weighs too much. And then we got the homing pigeon. This basically costs no weight. Because the pigeon is the same, except it's got a better hat on. So this is the cheapest way to get better survivability on your crew. Is the homing pigeon. And then after everything is said and done, I only have enough weight to spare for the level 1 dinghy. So there you go. And that's everything. We'll run through a mission real quick, see if I can get one that'll pop off. We'll do this one. What is this? Ammo dump. Okay. Just to kind of like show you a test run, if you will, on how I operate this thing. All right. All right. It's already nighttime, so we can go straight into high altitude. Real quick, let me slide that up. Just so you guys can see what we're doing up here. So it's already nighttime, so we can already go straight to high altitude. And then we have 20 minutes of fuel. And I'm already going to start leaning the fuel. Anytime you're not in combat and you're not doing anything in particular, always have him leaning your fuel just so you can survive that much longer. Look at 40 minutes of fuel. Now, granted, we're not going to be able to lean for 40 minutes, but we can lean. We basically have 30 minutes of fuel instead of 20. So yeah, so you could see, so based on this map, you can kind of tell where your safe zones are off of the occupied continent area. All right. All right, RJ, we're at high altitude now, so he's going to be in the he's going to be in our belly turret now. So now we're high enough to where we don't have to worry about so much BS. Yeah, so those are the only high altitude fighters that can pose any significant threat to us. And then so RJ's going to be defensive. Yeah, I waited a little bit too late to make that divert. So we are literally on the razor's edge of this anti-air fire, but it's fine. So what we're going to do is you don't always have to fly straight at the target. That's why the custom waypoint thing is very useful. Because if you can skirt around the enemy, you have less chances of suffering severe damage. RJ is still trying to shoot something. Patterson, you're not doing anything, so lean some more fuel. Okay, so this is the problem. You notice the sun's coming up. Okay. This is going to be a learning experience, so I'm just staying back here. Yeah, they're gonna see us. Nothing I can do at this point. Spotted on radar. I don't really give a rat's potato. So what we're doing is I'm actually going to kill time. Because at this altitude, we are king of the sky. We have air superiority. We've already taken out all the bombers that Germany has on us. And now we're going to wait for the sun to go down. So I'm going to lead fuel. And we're going to auto tag. All right, well, lucky for us. There it is. 3, 2, 1. All right. Now, you will notice what I've done. I went past it, and then I turned it to face it, and now look what we're doing. The sun's still up, but we're already headed back to base. I'm using my knowledge of how close we were to... I'm using my knowledge of awareness of where we were, where England is, and where the target was, so that when I turn to bomb the target, on our run out from the bomb run, we're going straight into friendly territory. It'll take a while, but we've got it. Now we're going to lean some more fuel because it's going to take a while. Then I'm going to set both Louis and RJ on defensive. And see, they have low flying fighters, and now we've got Spitfire support. So now, I mean, this is a fairly easy mission. This wasn't like hard or anything, but basically the concept is there. I think that's a twin. Yep. There's our, okay, there's the heavy target. You see it? That's the twin engine. That's the ME-262. And then Clifford still has ammo. Yeah, see, he's only used 200 rounds. So even with a 1200 belt, like, gun, like, he's not using a lot of ammo. So you can afford not to spend the extra weight for the ammo belt and just have higher DPS. And so, all right, so here's the English Channel right here. And so England's right in front of us. So by using my knowledge of the map, I can go, well, we can go past it, and then on our way back, we're gonna make home. So even we're still at high altitude, I never had to go below because I used the game to my benefit. Now, what you could have done is before the sun came up, you'll see my custom waypoint still out there, right? if I had sent the custom waypoint back to England before the sun came up, it would still be here. And it would at least point us in the right direction after the bomb. However, it happened to work out the way I wanted it to. Alright, so we're basically already over England at the moment, so now see, we did it. And then I'll speed up this landing sequence. Now, granted, we didn't take a whole lot of fire, because I didn't give them much time to do anything to us. On final approach, drop the landing gear. I like how the sun comes down, goes down right when we get back to base. But you can see the concept. If you're smart, you can lean your fuel long enough for the sun to go down. In reality, it wouldn't work like that. You'd run out of fuel long before the sun goes down. But in the game, you can run your fuel leaner and leaner until the sun goes down, stay at high altitude, and just keep circling Germany or whatever until you get the ability to plot your waypoint to go home. Or you can risk it by going down and plotting your waypoint for emergency. I would just say, forget it. I would just lean my fuel in high orbit and then go home. So ladies and gentlemen, not necessarily a quick video, just under an hour. It's going to be an hour when I do my outro. But I hope this this loadout, this build, helps you in your bombing of lesser Germany. I'm just kidding. It's a joke. It's a joke. YouTube. Everybody have fun, and America.